I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but I do feel sorry for the men, women, and children who do sneak into the country because of the poverty they had to deal with. And a lot of these people are honorable. But let's be realistic here. It's destabilizing the job market and it's artificially growing the population. Okay? Some of us in the black community always talking about coalition building and things of that nature. I get it, I understand it. But realistically, we don't have a coalition. Nobody wants to stand with us. Nobody wants to speak for us. If they do, they're doing it for alternate. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry, I just went blank. For questionable reasons, I should say. I'm not saying I don't do that, but enough. And given our history, and not just in this country, but around the world, you have men and women of color who have more in common with us, more in common with us, who have stabbed us in the back. You have all these other so-called aggrieved groups have done the same thing. So when I see men and women coming in here illegally, and don't get me wrong, I feel sorry for them. And as I said before, I want to help them. But we have people who are born here, people who are descendants from slaves, who still cannot get the proper respect or proper benefits. I mean, here it is, I am a descendant from slaves. Here it is, I'm an American citizen. Here I'm a taxpayer, I've served my country, and I'm still called a nigger or looked upon as less than. But you have men and women who've not just come across from Mexico or Mexico, however you want to say it. You have people from all around the world come in on student visas or just stuck in the country and have not left. And have access to health care, public assistance, jobs. Now here it is. I commend somebody who comes from poverty and work their way up. But guess what? Blacks have been doing that for years and we've been shortchanged. Now they're talking about they want to make sure if somebody's here caught illegally and they have school age or young enough that they either to be serving in the United States military or they have to be in school. Well, I have issue with that. When I went to the military, they did an extensive background check on me. You can have no parking tickets. You had to have a birth certificate. You had to have a birth certificate. You had to have a social security card. You had to have a social security card. You could not have no parking tickets. You could not be in any prior arrest or any of those things. You had to have a paper trail. You had to be an American citizen. Same thing when you go to when I was signing up for these classes, online classes. They had to do extensive background check on me. When I applied for the Pell Grant, I couldn't get it because they said I made too much money. I'm like, wait a minute. I applied for a grant and I made too much money, but you have people who come here who have no paperwork, don't have any source of income, and they get stuff. I remember one day I had went to public aid with an acquaintance of mine, and I walked in, and she really needed it. She was laid off for a job. She had a small child. She needed to eat. So we go into this location. I see people who are Hindu, Arab, Asian, Hispanic, and the crazy thing is, if you went to the parking lot and saw the cars they were getting out of. Now, see, we get accused of being lazy, greedy, shiftless, all kinds of things. But you got people come into this country, not born here, getting amnesty. I remember back when they did the Cuban wet foot, dry foot thing. And then, and catch this, they get in here and they get protection from the Catholic Church. They get protection with other agencies. Now, since Mr. Obama got in office, people say, oh, immigration deportation has gone up with him. No, I don't think it has. I think what happened was, for a long period of time since the Reagan administration, people have been turning a blind eye. But once the job market soured, everybody started coming out saying, "Oh, we got to get rid of illegals." And then you had white folk that normally didn't talk to black folk wanted to sit down, wanted to join forces. Then you had Mexicans that was here legally wanted to join the white people. But guess what? People's turning around looking at us saying that we should speak up for them. No, I don't think so. Here it is in this country that my family been here for generation after generation after generation after generation after generation. And it's no guarantee that my family was brought over as slaves, because it very well could have been the indigenous people here. Because let's not get it twisted. Blacks were here before the quote unquote white man or white woman or the white child. Don't let your history books lie to you. If you don't believe me, go do the research. Ask yourself how these men and women and these three men in this picture get their dark skin. Now, I do feel sorry for them. I don't want anybody to get me wrong. But I've seen a lot of young black men and black women going to places and ask for applications. And Lord forbid if the person behind the counter is of Mexican ancestry or somebody who's sympathetic to their cause. They're gonna get fucked over. That just keep it real. I don't know how many times I gotta say it or other people gotta say it, but it's not fair. And these black politicians and these handkerchief heads out here in the media talking about we need a coalition. Have y'all not noticed that every time we say we need a coalition, the black community gets shortchanged? I'm not anti anybody, but I'm a realistic brother. Now you have people that came here and stood in line and waited for the American citizenship. They took the test. They jumped the hoops. Do you think it's fair? Now I commend a man or woman who want to serve in the United States military. And I'm gonna tell you something. I had a battle buddy. And I won't give his name, but if he comes across this video, or people who know who I am know that he didn't get his citizenship till after he came back from Iraq. Now, I don't know if he came into the country illegally or not. Rumor has it that his family did. And he's a good man. If he's still alive, I don't know if he got hurt or not. Because when I left the military, there was still some guys in there, and some have did multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan or other parts of the world. But I would go through fire for that guy. But if it's true what was said, that he was illegal, that means the United States military, that means the recruiters lied. You still took somebody in who wasn't supposed to be in. But you had young black men who had tattoos or had smoking weed or had a ticket or made a dumb mistake as a kid, couldn't get in. We've all heard the stories of people sneaking in the country, doing hateful things. And before anybody say I'm putting this on Hispanics, I am not. That wouldn't be fair. There are other people that have come in this country and done shit. But it seems like they are the scapegoats. But at the same time, it's not fair for people to sneak in, overinflate their populations. They claim, oh, well, me and my wife got pregnant here, so my son or daughter's automatically American citizens. No. And then using the provisions that made black people or finally recognize us as American citizens or as human beings, using that to their advantage. The civil rights laws in this country have been twisted. Blacks marched. We took the slings and arrows, and still to this very day. You know, President Obama, if he looked like he about to talk about black issues, people start hyperventilating. Right or left, or down the middle, straight or gay, young or old, rich or poor, black or white. They hyperventilate. But you can talk about illegal immigration. You can talk about gay marriage, gay adoption, or don't ask, don't tell. You can talk about Israel. You can talk about women's rights, or I should say white women's rights. You can talk about all those things, but the moment we say something as black community saying we're constantly getting shortchanged, we're looked upon as the bad guys. Now, I know there are going to be people still, no matter how many disclaimers and how many times I say I don't think all, or I sympathize, or I wish I can help, or whatever, they're going to still look at me as reverse racist, being insensitive, but I'm being honest. No, it's not fair for somebody to come into the country, come into communities and take over communities or get jobs, and then the people who went to school or bust their ass not get anything. I've worked with illegals before. And I'm telling you right now, they stick together and they stab you in the back, and then within 2-3 months, they run into place. And I've told you guys stories on my old channel. That's why I said I don't like people false flagging. And I think this is part of one of the reasons why people false flag, to keep you from telling your stories or giving your point of view. But you get to stay in the country because you go to school or because you serve in the military. That's not fair. There are black men and young black women who apply for colleges or can't afford colleges. They don't. Do they get preferential treatment? There are young men and young women who can't go in the military because of health issues. Do they get preferential treatment? Here it is. We are descendants of slaves. Do we get reparations? Do we get any considerations? No. This is about population, because they know that on average, most men and women who are illegal, who identify themselves as Mexican or Latin, are not going to side with the black community. Even though they come from us, even though they have more in common with us, even though we've been more friendly to them. But we've all heard of stories of certain communities across the country where black men and black women, black children have gone in and they've been attacked or murdered. But the Democrats are going to sell us out. This is why I tell everybody I'm holding my nose when I vote for Mr. Obama come November. Because the black community, in some ways, we did it to ourselves. We're getting fucked over. Now, before anybody starts saying I'm insensitive or racist, I am not. I'm being fair. There are a lot of brothers and sisters within our community who have worked just as hard, if not harder, and we get shortchanged. We keep putting the stereotype out there that they work harder than anybody else. I remember when I was working in fast food, I think I was probably my second year as a manager, and a coworker of mine, a black female coworker, said, "Oh, we gotta go hire some Mexicans. They work hard." And I said, "Says who?" "Oh, they work hard. They do everything." I said, "No, they don't work any harder than any black person. No, you guys are shortchanging. They work cheap. They'll take the crap that black Americans don't take or are not going to take." That's why everybody loves illegal. I mean, here's this restaurant you gone in and you see a person, a Mexican, barely speak English, back there cooking and working, but you have young black men looking for jobs. They won't hire them. This is one of the reasons why so many of our young brothers have turned to a life of crime to support themselves. I'm not excusing it, but this is one of the reasons. Here it is. They can move into a community with no history, credit history, or buy a new vehicle with no problem, and nobody bats an eye. I've seen them make legal moves, run lights, cross accents, and nobody says anything. Brother like myself got seatbelt on, 2 hands on the steering wheel, found the traffic light or traffic rules, we get pulled over and harassed. We go into a store, they start talking. I'm not going to insult or try to mock the way their language, but you know what I mean. And they think that we're too dumb. I know we're being mocked. Our communities are being taken over. Jobs that black men, I mean, at one time, black men were the landscapers. You turn around, you don't see black landscapers that much anymore. Just like I said in my video about the black babies being adopted, people feel that they might be more appreciative than blacks. No, they mad because blacks said enough is enough. Here it is in New Orleans. From after Hurricane Katrina, I heard it was an influx of illegals going to New Orleans, getting construction jobs and working. If you go to construction sites here in Illinois, you can count on both hands how many young black men or black women you see on these construction sites. Here it is, schools that were in black communities were either closed down or regentrified, or resources going to their community. I can tell you, if anybody's familiar with Chicago or ever come to Chicago, go on the southwest side around 21st Street to 26th Street. That area, maybe even around Cermak or even Cicero, Illinois, that area had a lot of racial strife. The black people who lived in that community was vilified, brutalized, denied. But when blacks started moving into homes, or when the whites got older and they still wouldn't sell to blacks, they would sell to Mexicans or Puerto Ricans. And guess what happened? Those very same Mexicans and Puerto Ricans, but majority Mexicans, bought those homes. And the blacks that did work in the restaurants or the places around it were pushed out the community. They've taken the same mindset of those white men and white women who once lived in Cicero, Illinois, or around 21st to 26th Street. Suburban areas where was once black are now Mexican. Now, some things I have to look at the black community and say, yo, we should have stood our ground. We should have said enough is enough, or we should have made them earn it. Just like every other community does, but we're too busy talking about coalition building and helping. We feeling sorry for them, but nobody feels sorry for us. So I can't put the blame entirely on all Mexican people, or white people, or Asian or Hindu come to this country and take advantage of certain things. But when you sneak into a country and you get perks or benefits that here it is that I as an American citizen had to jump through hoops to get or can't get, it does rub you the wrong way. So please, this is not a attack or slandering anybody. This is just speak God's honest truth. You have to question our own government. For years, blacks have talked about this. It wasn't until our white counterparts start getting their nigger moment, or the sons or daughters start bringing home people darker than them, and they started having children that didn't look like them, or they didn't get the job, or they losing jobs, that they started complaining. I don't care if somebody gets a job, if they work for it, earn it. I don't care if somebody want to come in here and make a new life for them if they go through the proper procedures. But coming here illegally, then say, oh, I'm going to college, or getting grants and money from taxpayers, when here it is, I had to struggle, family members had to struggle. Or saying, well, I'm going to the military, when the military says that you must have a birth certificate, you must have graduated or did this and did that. And then they wait till they get in and say, okay, they've been in, let's give them citizenship. That's backward ass immigration. And then it's artificially inflating the population numbers. And Lord forbid we talk about crime. Who's bringing all the stuff into this country? What is going on in Mexico right now? They having drug wars in Mexico. Now people going to say, oh, you stereotyping a bunch of people. No, not everyone who comes to this country legally is like that. Like I said, they're good people. But you can't deny what comes along with it. All I'm just saying that we need to be fair and we need to think about this. And especially the black community.